Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Working in Hockey podcast. I'm your host, Nick Bowens, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. You guys know him as 716 Nick Ciavarella. You know him from Just Dishin. You know him from SkateSkins. He's a live social contributor with the National Hockey League. He does a million and one other things. Nick, how you doing here today?
Good, man. Excited to be here. And honestly, I got to say, like, even before we kind of jumped on live here, I want to quickly say I really admire kind of what you're doing with this podcast, with this platform. I think you're bringing a ton of value to not just the hockey space, but creators in general. So kudos to you, man. It's honestly an honor to be on here and chatting with you today about this,
Absolutely, my
about kind of
pleasure.
what I do and
Yeah.
bring value and things like
My
that.
pleasure, my pleasure. I'm excited to dive into it. Like I say, you're involved in a ton of different stuff, and for my money, at the forefront of kind of this next new wave of marketing in hockey. You guys are up to a lot of cool stuff with Just Dishin. We see the logo there. Talk to me a little bit about Just Dishin as kind of the main thing on your plate right now. How you guys started that and what it's grown to in Buffalo today.
Yeah. Kind of a crazy story, I guess, like come up to. So my buddy Matt Keeler started the company back in like 2012. It started out as a Twitter account, and I guess to even kind of give people like a bit of a background to it too. Like we're a hockey streetwear brand. We also serve as a creative agency in Buffalo for athletes, brands, and things like that. But again, to kind of backtrack, yeah, my buddy Matt started it back in 2012, again, just as a Twitter account. It was originally just Dangle, and then he switched over to Just Dishin. And this was around the time, too. I was playing junior hockey. Like, we didn't really know each other back then when he first started it, but I remember seeing the Twitter kind of take off, and he had followed me on Twitter, and I just thought it was cool. A hockey company was like following me and playing junior. Like at the time, like you think you're sick, and you're like this is dope. Like I have like a hockey brand kind of following the way or following like my journey. So I didn't really know as a kid, kind of running it, kind of just as a a kid my age doing it, and he's from Albion, New York. I'm from Buffalo, so if you're familiar with the Western New York area, Albion is a good like 45 to 50 minutes away from Buffalo. So yeah, he followed me then, and from there I was playing junior hockey up in Canada for a few years, and then I played in New Hampshire, and he had added me on Facebook like very randomly in like 2015. Like just him, like Matt added me, and I went and looked on his page, and I saw like Just Dishin on there. I'm like, yo, like what is it with this guy? Like, does he own? Like, did he start this, or like what's the involvement there? And then while I was still in New Hampshire, I saw he moved to Buffalo. Because he was posting a lot of stuff just in the theater district, which was where our shop is right now in the city of Buffalo. And he was just posting like, different things about like the Sabres and just like Buffalo Pride. This is around the time where Eichel had just, signed to the Sabres too. And, it was a lot of good things were happening in the city. And I had just like, I was actually planning to move back to the city. So around this time too. So I just reached out to him randomly and was like, yo, like I didn't like, what do you like own this or like, what is this Dishin thing? Like, it seems cool. Like, I'm moving back to Buffalo. Would love to just like connect and get involved in any way I can. And from there, I mean, he had a full time job at the time. I was going to college at the University at Buffalo when we really kind of connected and dialed in. But we met a couple times and connected on a lot of things that we wanted to see brought to the hockey space and hockey community as a whole. So we just kept linking up, and sure enough, like we partnered up together. And our buddy Ben Madafiri, Ben Madafri, he's also one of the co-founders of the company. Him and Matt grew up together, and kind of started out just like me, Matt, and Ben, just going hard, slinging merchandise here in the city of Buffalo, just with our Just Dish and Hockey logo on it. And from there, we got to my other buddy, Derek Hoskin, who is a big contributor to our team here. He does a lot of video work with us now. Him and I actually grew up making hockey videos together, or not hockey videos, but just like skateboarding videos and things like that around the neighborhood. So we got him involved, and I guess like through the brand, I guess like put back into making videos. I guess because I kind of stepped away from making videos for a while. Like during like after I went to juniors and stuff, but the brand kind of allowed me to get back into video. So I guess kind of fast forwarding there, graduated from the University at Buffalo. Kind of told myself even throughout college, like I kind of want to jump into this full time. I don't want to go get a 9 to 5 job. And luckily, COVID hit, so I didn't really have to go get a job anywhere. And we were kind of at a point where I could do this thing kind of full time in a sense, and also do my video work. So kind of again walked into it full time, and then we launched SkateSkins, which is a completely another brand that kind of helps hockey players customize their hockey skates. And through that, me and a few of my buddies that also kind of help out with the Dishin stuff, we opened up a studio, film and photography studio, and we've been kind of going at it ever since. And it's been a pretty crazy journey to say the least. And then now, even fast forwarding up to present day, I'm with the NHL as a live social contributor too. So very heavily involved in the hockey community, especially the community here in Buffalo.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome journey, and definitely no shortage of the grind for you, Matt, Ben, Derek, the crew there. It's been awesome to see what you guys have built, and I think having a kind of flagship location there in Buffalo is super cool too. I think people usually think of these media and marketing brands as just online entities. Everything's done there, but the fact that you guys have been able to open and set up shop there is super interesting as well. I wanted to touch on SkateSkins you mentioned there. I think they're sick. I worked with Matt to get a Hockey Collective pair a couple of years ago, and those are still on one of my pairs of rollers. I
Let's
think
go.
it's an awesome idea. I think it's super cool. Talk to me about starting that, the kind of adoption curve with that, and how you've been able to get it in the hands of so many cool people around the game.
Yeah, so Matt kind of had this idea for a very long time. Just he was kind of playing around with different ideas of how to customize skates. At one point, he was working on a prototype, which was basically like a sleeve on a hockey skate. But even before that, I think where the idea originated, he wanted to black out his hockey skates, and like wanted to find a material that could do that. And like even before COVID, he was really just trying to find like different materials to black out his skates. And COVID hit, and obviously like he was still at his full-time job. He was laid off at the time. I ended up going to college just online the rest of the way throughout 2020, and he was again playing around with the idea. Had nothing but time in his apartment, so he was ordering just different materials to the house, and trying different things. And he was like, wait a second, like we could put logos on these things. Like he's like, all the boys I remember are dropping their skates off. He's like putting different material on our skates, throwing our skates in his freezer and his bathtub. Like he butchered my Bauer 1Xs. They're actually one of the original skates he really tried to do this on. And but yeah, finally he can speak on this a little bit more too, but he ultimately he found a few different materials that worked, that kind of molded to the skate properly. Two, it didn't really leave like a sticky residue or anything like that on the skates, which was huge because we don't want to be ruining people's skates. But yeah, he just kind of had like a light bulb moment in his head where like, okay, this is it. And he was like, I kind of want to take this to market and kind of let it rip. So he did, and obviously it was during COVID, so there wasn't really a ton of hockey being played, which kind of worked in our favor because it allowed us to really test the product, and really just have a lot of time to really perfect this thing, as well as kind of grow the brand in itself. We were lucky enough to we're pretty close with the people at Buffalo Riverworks, which is a local hockey rink here. They let us come out on the ice almost every week, like once, twice, 3 times a week, to go shoot content for this thing, whether it was photos, TikTok videos. And the TikTok videos kind of blew up randomly, which was pretty crazy to see. It was one of those products too where you hated it or you loved it, which was great because it got people talking. But as those videos kept blowing up, we kept getting opportunities. And then once things kind of opened back up, we had different retail shops, different youth organizations kind of asking us to carry them in their pro shops and also offer them to their teams as well. And they also made a debut in the NHL with the Coyotes when there was a team there, just in warm-ups, which was pretty cool moment for us there. And then also the Sabres wore them for RJ night, which was pretty cool, very special moment for the brand. But during that time too, like we didn't have the shop here. Like we make all the skins in shop, like, or in the shop here, and Ben handles all of our production, which he absolutely crushes it. Um, but like Matt, like we were making these in Matt's apartment for the longest time, and people don't really know that. And I remember just Matt would get emails like, people waiting for orders and things like that. And it's like, yo, like these people don't realize like we're making these by hand, in a tiny apartment. Like we don't really have a shop, but now we do, and we're a lot more established than we ever were before with that brand, and just even with the Dishin side too. But it's cool, man. Like it's crazy to kind of see like where everything started to where it is today, especially with both Dishin and Skins. And originally Skins was just a brand and a product under the Dishin umbrella, but now they're two separate entities.
Very cool. Very cool. I didn't realize that you guys were just making them by hand in the apartment either. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
again, a testament to the grind. But no, I think they're super cool. And I think it's one of those things that, like, it was dying for some innovation. Everybody's just had some pretty dark, black, boring skates for the last 100 years of hockey. So I think it's awesome what you guys have built there, and what you guys are up to with SkateSkins. You mentioned earlier as well the live social contributor role with the National Hockey League. Talk to the people a little bit about that role, what it entails, what it means, and what you do day to day when you're at a Sabres game or otherwise.
Yeah. So the live social contributor program in the NHL is basically a program that that is for creators, and it's meant to kind of help NHL. It's meant to help NHL social, but also help the home and away teams in each market of the NHL. So 32 teams. Every market has two live social contributors. I think there's a few that actually have three. I think those ones they might be like, I think one of them's New Jersey, the Rangers, and then the Islanders, because they're all so close. But yeah, it's basically a program that allows that the NHL kind of provides to not just their social team, but also the home and away teams, to help with any sort of content that would be video content, photo content, and just help them on their day to day. So like not their day to day, but like help them on game days. So if they need help with arrival photos or arrival videos, we're kind of the ones that are doing that. Any warm up scenes, if there's a player that maybe gives a puck to a fan or something like that, we're the ones capturing that or looking for that. And then obviously, if a goal is scored by a team, whether if we're getting photos of that, we're capturing the photos of that goal, and then also the celebrations and submitting that to the league, but also the home and away teams, whoever scores that goal at the time, but then also video too. So if the Sabres score, like if I'm working a Sabres game and the Sabres score and I'm doing video, and I get that shot, I'm basically taking my memory card out of my out of my camera, going into my laptop, doing a quick speed ramp, and then submitting that to the league if they want to use it, but then also submitting that to the Sabres for them to possibly use on social if they want to use it. But the job it's very quick turnaround. It's a very high pressure job. I'm not sure if you talked to anybody before who's kind of in that role, but it's fun, man. Like I enjoy kind of working under pressure in that sense. It's fun for me. So it's something where you got to be quick. You have to be quick and efficient, and it's a fun job, man. There's a lot of perks to it, and one of the things too that I really enjoy about it is kind of once you're done with the game, like you're done. You don't really owe too many, like you don't owe any teams any more edits unless there's a game-winning goal or an overtime goal or anything like that. So it's fun, and it allows us to get kind of a little more creative. It allows us to also be another branch for NHL social to kind of utilize our skill sets.
No, it's an awesome role, and I think, like you said, the speed and the turnaround time is what always fascinates me. It's crazy how accustomed as hockey fans or sports fans, we're so accustomed to just seeing the highlight right away on socials and stuff. But I don't think a lot of times we appreciate the time and the turnaround and the effort that goes into making that happen. And I think it's an awesome program by the NHL. The number of clips and highlights and photos that we've been able to see over the last couple of years from this has been awesome, and it gives so many more creators opportunities to be in the building and trying new things and testing things. Speaking of testing new things and catching some trends, for my money, you were one of the guys at kind of the forefront of the motion tracking in the National Hockey League last year. I know that caught a lot of steam on your socials, and you were able to do some very, very popular pieces for the league there. Talk to me a little bit about motion tracking, head tracking, all the different kind of trends and things you've been able to do with your camera at these games lately.
Yeah, the motion tracking thing, it's funny. Like a lot of it's funny because a lot of people always like know me as that, which is like so weird to me because it was just something. It was just like an editing style that I just always wanted to do. I've been doing it for probably like 3 or 4 years now. Then I used to try it all the time. I used to do it with I've done it with basketball videos before, and just thought that was like, it just gave people a different perspective on like how the sport looks. And
Totally.
I just thought, I'm like, if I ever get a chance to do this in hockey, I think that would be so sick. And I did it. I think it was probably when was the All-Star game? Was like 3 years ago in Vegas, or whenever it was in Vegas. I think 2021. I remember I had a media pass for that and got some clips and tried to do motion tracking with that footage, and it worked pretty well. And I was like, wow, like I'd love to somehow just keep doing these, and I guess like kind of make it my style in a sense. Didn't have any intentions of it going viral the way it did, or like have it be as trendy as it is now. I just thought it looked cool, and I thought it kind of would showcase more of what these players are doing with and without the puck. I mean, there's so many clips that I have found over the years shooting sports, especially hockey, just where I'm just either deleting them or throwing them away because there's not a goal, there's not a big hit, there's not a big save, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of different clips that you can use, and I really just try and utilize as much of my content as possible, because if you're in the building, like, why not show, even if a player does like one little, dipsy doodle around a defenseman but doesn't score a goal, that's still, that still looks sick. Like, it's still showcasing what these players can really do. And I've gotten pretty lucky and I'm fortunate enough to work closely with the Sabres and work closely with the league, where I've seen, I'll use Dahlin as an example. Like, that dude is an incredible defenseman. Like, he is so fun to watch. He's so smooth. And like, I feel like there weren't really a lot of people out there really showcasing what these players are doing with the puck. Again, they don't have to be scoring goals. Like, they could just be skating around. That you see that different edge work. You're seeing their eyes move back and forth. Like, there's so many things that these guys do that not like the everyday hockey fan doesn't always be able to get to see that. And I kind of want, with these edits and with this editing style, I really just wanted to show that, but again, had no intentions of it going viral the way it did. It was been a little overwhelming, I'm not going to lie, at first, but it's cool, man. I really enjoy it. It's fun.
It's super cool, and I think it's very interesting what you said there about the appreciation for the little skills, and I think that's something that, yourself, a former junior player, myself as well, same league for a little bit too, actually, but, it's things that we might pick up on that your average fan wouldn't, but with your editing style on that, maybe they can gain a higher appreciation or understand more what the player's going through as they skate the puck up the ice. On TV, it looks like just a dude moving north-south, left foot, right foot, but when you zoom in or you have that cool editing style, you're able to see how he's scanning the ice. You're able to see the little juke that he made at the blue line and all those different things. So I think it's fascinating. I will watch every motion tracking video you or anybody else makes on loop endless amounts of times when they come out. But I think it's an awesome thing that's happening there. I wanted to touch on a little bit. When you're playing hockey or another sport, you always hear, oh, you should play other sports. Oh, you should play soccer. You should get hand-eye coordination from baseball or golf. You should try all these different sports to make yourself a better hockey player. I think, and I want to ask you, an expert, that when it comes to working a camera or editing, it's the same thing. I know you've done some music videos. You have Legacy House Studio there. You've worked with NFL players as well a fair bit. Are you able to take transferable skills and editing styles and camera approaches from these other sports and events and festivals to what you do on the ice?
Yeah, 100%. I think that the more diverse you can get, if you're shooting video, photo, or anything like that, or just if you're in any sort of creative role, I think it's important to be able to pull different ideas and different elements from not just one sport or one culture or one genre of music or anything like that. I think it's so important to work with other creators that might do the complete opposite of what you do, because even if it might not interest you, you might grab something or get inspired by something that that creator or that video or that, whatever that photo might be. You might pull some inspo and be able to kind of put your own spin on it. And I think that's so important. I think for me, that's helped me along my career as a whole, because every job is different. You go for like there again. You mentioned like music videos. I've done those in the past, and I think like to me, like making a video just in general, it's very important to have everything on beat, and you really see that in a music video, for example, because you're gonna have to, if you're recording an artist, you have to match the lips up to the verse and things like that. So that's super important. And I really try and, when I go into an edit, I always try and keep things on beat, but also tell a story. Like, even if you're not the strongest editor, it's as long as you're able to, tell a compelling story, I think that is more than half of, the goal. And then I think the editing will kind of come from there. But yeah, I can't even begin to explain how important it is to work with other creators and try and pull different things and be open-minded in that sense, because it just is going to make you a better creator as, again, whether you're an editor, videographer, photographer, whatever, you're going to pull something from, who you're working with at that time and that project too.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome to hear, and very important point for anybody starting their career. I think a lot of times, probably bigger societal issue or kind of tendency there, but like, sure, if you're a lawyer or you're a surgeon, yes, you're working on just those types of cases. You're working on just that surgery. But if you're in a creative role or you're in a dynamic role at all like this, being able to pull from those other experiences is so important. Like, people get pigeonholed in one thing and think, oh, this is what I have to do. I have to do this exact thing. But no, dude, picking up some free work on a music video, going down to Miami and shooting with Tyreek Hill, those all help shape what you're able to do today, right? But I wanted to touch on a little bit, I think always a bit of a hot button topic when it comes to camera and video work is free work. And I think a lot of times, unfortunately, but the reality is, you got to start out your career with some free work. I think that's an important stage for anybody who's looking to get into kind of a creative role like this. Talk to me a little bit about free work, and also talk to me about knowing when to charge and what to charge, and knowing your worth once you have established yourself in some of these relationships, and do you agree with that sentiment of starting your career off with some free work?
Yeah, for sure. I think, doing that, just one, it helps you build a portfolio. But also, like you said too, like builds relationships, especially in any industry, but creative especially, is just so important. I can't even begin to tell you how important and how beneficial it was for me, even when I was in college, to do free work, for the athletes at the University of Buffalo. Like, I worked like one of my good buddies, Ladarius Mack, I made a lot of videos with him, who he ended up going off, and he was a football player at UB. He ended up going off and playing for the Chicago Bears for a while. He's now retired. He actually opened up a gym in Florida, but got to do a lot of video stuff with him, and then also do a lot of stuff with the basketball team at UB. And again, it was all free work. It was just making little highlight tapes for these guys, but they kind of helped put my name on the map in a sense that, even though they're not paying me, they're still providing some sort of value because they have a much bigger following, because they are a D1 athlete. They might not, that clout is like a big thing, but they help get your name out there if they're tagging you and stuff, and they want you to keep showing up. But I think another thing for me that kind of helped was just, building relationships with a lot of those guys in college, because we would have classes together, and, we spent a lot of time together, whether that was in the classroom or, at the field house or on the court, if you will. But those relationships do really go a long way and could lead to other things. I mean, just the story, even like quick story about mine and Ladarius's friendship. Like, I never really was a huge football guy growing up. Obviously, like in Buffalo, we have the Bills, right? So every Sunday I'm watching that, but I never really keeps tabs on like the NFL really growing up, or college football or anything like that. But like, I didn't even know this till my senior year, but Ladarius and I were very close friends, and his older brother, I found out, during our senior year, that his older brother was Khalil Mack. Like, that is a big name in football. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Like, I like didn't think anything of it. Didn't like put two and two together, like the last name or anything. But we just had a tight friendship. We again had a lot of classes together, and that I think that story alone, like just kind of, I was able to build a strong friendship with him, and we're still buddies to this day. We still keep tabs on one another, and I think like that story alone just kind of helps show that you never really know who you're working with or who you're friends with, or you don't know who's really seeing your work. And he really kind of at first put my name on the map for sports videography in general when I really got into this in college. And it ultimately led to me doing other paid work with the University at Buffalo, and then also led to me trying new things and getting into hockey edits. And I did some free work for a few NHL guys too throughout that time, and they kind of led me to where I am today. And without those pieces, without doing that free work, I wouldn't have had the portfolio to go in and kind of have leverage to be like, hey, this is what I can do here. If you get a job interview, or if you get if you want to inquire about getting a media credential for somewhere or something or an event. So that free work goes a long way. And then again, obviously building those relationships is so key. Again, like Ladarius and I are really close, like not as close as we were in college, but again, like we can call each other or meet up and everything's still kind of the same, as it was in college. And even when he opened up his gym in Florida, he had me down there, and I did some marketing work for him down in Florida when he opened that. And it was cool, man. Like, it was cool to see, like, obviously professional sports don't last forever, and sports in general don't last forever, but he was able to move on and go on to that next chapter. And I was able to be a part of that and help him out. So, it's cool, man. I think, again, it's super important to do the free work and to build those relationships.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And the relationship building, the networking, it's interesting. Like, I think people think a lot of times like, oh, if I do free work for so and so, they're going to refer me to somebody else and say, oh, this guy does it for free. I don't think those conversations ever happen. I think they say, hey, like, Nick did some great video work for me. Check him out. Like, if you need a guy, that type of thing, right? Like, people so often get hung up on like, oh, if I do free work once, the whole world's going to expect it. And it's like, no, you got to build those networks. You got to build those relationships by doing some of that free work. Does it suck in the moment when you come home after a 12-hour shoot and you don't have a dollar in your pocket? Yeah, probably. But then you take a step back the next day and you realize that you're building relationships, you're building lifelong connections, and at the end of the day, you're growing your portfolio and your resume with some cool shots as well. I want to look forward a little bit. We've looked back on kind of how you got to where you are today, Nick, and everything that you're up to today. Looking forward, you've got just Dishin, you've got SkateSkins, you've got the NHL role, you've got a lot of other stuff on the go too. What's next for you? What are you hoping to do next? Are there any big milestones or projects that you're hoping to get involved with over the next couple of years now that you have established your reputation in networks?
Yeah, I think one thing I've always kind of wanted to get into, even at a young age, is just longer form content. Obviously, right now, social content has been a big main priority for me, and a very big part in my career. But I think long term, I definitely want to get more into doing long form content, whether that's documentary or movie. I do want to make some sort of film and tell a story. I have an idea where I've had this written out and it hasn't fully kind of come to me yet, so I'm kind of waiting for that to like naturally come. But I do want to eventually do some sort of either short film or long form film, just telling a story about a kid who was just kind of growing up, didn't have a lot, and it's a very loose idea right now, but a kid who kind of grew up, didn't have a lot, and kind of just made similar to like what we're talking about now, just made certain connections and had a life-changing moment that changed things for the better for this person, and they were able to go on and do a lot of great things, not just for themselves but for their family too, and take care of their family. So it's still kind of an idea I've been playing around with. I started writing a script for it. I'm not 100% on it just yet, but something I'm kind of working on right now. And then aside from that, again, like the documentary stuff, like overall long form content, I definitely want to get more into that. I really do enjoy telling a story, piecing that together from start to finish, all the way just from an idea on paper to bring it to life through the camera, through the editing process, and things like that. So again, like long term, definitely something I want to focus on, and then two, obviously just keep growing the brand at Dishin here with my buddies here, and we've gotten to do a lot of cool things over the years, and we want to keep doing that and keep growing it, and kind of make it a household name in hockey.
Awesome. No, that's awesome to hear, and I think it's cool again that you're able to take your experiences that you've had so far and turn it into, hey, I love what I'm doing, but I'd also love to dabble in some long form stuff, and again, all those transferable experiences and learnings along the way there. Nick, I always wrap things up here with some advice. Talk to me a little bit about advice, the best kind of career suggestions or advice that you've picked up along your way.
I think one thing, just anybody, if you're starting out, whether if you're in high school, or if you're a junior in college, or even if you're older and if you're in your 30s, 40s, like even 50s, however old you are, like don't be afraid to try new things. There's really a lot you can do, especially in the creative industry. If you find something that is just interesting to you and you want to try it, like don't be afraid to try it. If you want to get into videos, you have a video camera right in your pocket with your iPhone or whatever phone you have. You can start there. So don't be afraid to start. And then I guess for the video folks out there, or any sort of creative, don't be afraid to post your work like that. If you don't post your work, no one's going to know who you are. No one's going to see, what you're capable of doing. Even if you think it's garbage, still post it. Like, you never know who's watching. And also to build relationships and network, because that stuff is so important. I can't even begin to tell you how important that is, and where relationships can really take you, and networking and things like that. So build those relationships, network, and also don't be afraid to post your work. Post your work again, because no one's going to know who you are if you don't post. So post that work. Don't be afraid of the comments, and everything will kind of fall into place from there.
No, that's awesome advice, and especially on the post your shit. That's something that I say in just about every episode. I feel like doesn't matter whether it's a video you edited or a crappy take about the Sabres, whatever it is, you can just post it. You never know who's gonna see it. You never know who it's gonna hit home with or anything. I feel like that's such an old like movie cliche where like somebody's really good at drawing or really good at writing, and somebody
Yep.
stumbles into their book or their journal or whatever. In today's world and today's age, you have no reason to not put your stuff out there, and at some point it's going to hit the right people in the right eyeballs there. Nick, this has been awesome, man. Can't thank you enough for your time, and again, everything that you guys are doing with Dishin, with SkateSkins is awesome. Huge fan of everything that you're doing with the NHL and the Sabres as well. I'm going to wager that quite a few people listening to this already follow you on socials, but tell the people where they can find you if not.
Yeah, I guess on social at 716Nick on Instagram, TikTok, and then on Twitter/X at ACAVO. That's EHCAVO. And yeah, man, this is a pleasure, man. I know, I feel like we've been talking about doing this for the last few weeks. And like I was saying before, I really admire everything you're kind of doing here, and with this platform. And I think that a lot of people just in the hockey community alone are getting a ton of value from you. So kudos to you, and again, appreciate you having me on. Seriously, it's an honor. And I do want to say one thing too. Like, I've been following Hockey Collective for a very long time, and it's cool to see that now I know you guys, and like I didn't know, again, like how I'm connected with Matt. Like, I didn't know it was just guys my age, doing this. So again, that goes back to the point too. You never know who's really looking at your work, or who's out there. So. Again, it's been a pleasure to do this, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the guests that you have on along the way.
Awesome. Well, very much appreciated for the kind words and for the time here, Nick. Guys, be sure to check him out on socials. I promise he's got some good stuff coming up as the NHL season's just around the corner here. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week on the Working in Hockey podcast.